I'm Shelly and welcome to the very first of a series of wellbeing workshops that are to be delivered in short, sharp bursts, never more than 10 minutes in staff meetings. This workshop is on the importance of trust, and in this one every single person will need one sticky note and a pen. The number one most important thing in any organisation is trust, and Stephen Covey explains more about this in the link below. Now think about a colleague or a leader that you really trusted. How much did they trust you? How much did you enjoy working with them? And how much could you actually accomplish things together, and how much did you jump on board with their ideas? Now on the flip side, think about a colleague that you didn't have a high trust relationship with. How much did they trust you? How much could you accomplish together? Did you actually enjoy working with them? Now comparing the two colleagues, the trusted one and the least trusted one, how much did you enjoy working with each of these? How good did you feel in yourself, and what was your well-being like with colleague that you had high trust and colleague that you had low trust? How much did you enjoy getting up and going to work with each of these colleagues? Trust is very much like foundations underneath buildings. Imagine the building that you're in today was just built on bare dirt with no foundations. In winter, the ground will shrink, in summer, the ground will swell, and depending on the level of moisture in the air, rain, droughts, floods, cyclones, you name it, well, eventually the ground will move, and what will happen to the building? Well, the walls will start to crack. We know this, which is why we have foundations underneath houses, which is why when there are weather events, just like the stresses in your life and the stresses events at work for things like stress, high work volume, deadlines, adversity, when these weather events hit, unless there's a strong foundation underneath the building and a strong foundation in trust levels in your work, well, cracks will start to appear in your well-being. Now think about a time in your work environment where there was high stress, high pressure, deadlines, and cracks did start to appear in your well-being. Now thinking about that event and who was around you at the time, where was trust lacking and who was it with when those cracks appeared? On the flip side, have a think about a time when you had very similar levels of stress in your life, very similar pressures, but you didn't have any cracks in your well-being and they did not appear. What was the difference at that time? Where was the trust at that time when the cracks didn't appear, and who was the trust with? Now thinking about the immediate people that you work with, the ones that you see every single day, discuss with your colleague what can happen when trust is low between you and your colleagues that you work with every day. What can happen and how do you feel? When you hear the music, you have 8 seconds to finish the last thing you're saying before we move on. When you hear the music, you have 18 seconds to finish what you're saying. Your 90 seconds for discussion starts now. Now in the same pair, you're going to think about the immediate colleagues that you work with every single day, and discuss what can happen and how can you feel when trust is very high in the immediate group that you work with. Your 90 seconds starts now. In terms of your broader organisation, what can happen if trust is low between you and people within other departments in your organisation? What can happen and how can you feel? Your 60 seconds starts now. It's now time to get that sticky note and pen, because on it you're going to record how important trust is in your work environment. Is it very important, important, somewhat important, or not important? Write your answer, give your sticky notes to your leaders, because they will now collate all the results to see how important trust is in your work setting. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to think about, is there anything that you can do in the next 2 weeks that will help build more trust with a colleague? And that marks the end of this video.